So, glutamine and gut health. Welcome to the session where we'll be talking about the importance of glutamine. Glutamine is an amino acid. It's produced within our body. But what happens during times of stress, there is a deficiency of glutamine within our body. And as a consequence, we suffer from a number of inflammations, infections, and our immunity becomes compromised. So it's also called as a conditionally essential amino acids because it's subject to the condition. If conditions are normal, then no issues. But if the conditions, that is our body is malfunctioning or we are under stress, what happens? Automatically, there is depletion of glutamine. And since glutamine is the main source which fuels the functioning, it's the food, in other words, to the epithelial cells which line our gut. Gut means stomach and small and large intestine. And the function of these enterocytes or the epithelial cells is that they act as soldiers, as a barrier which prevents the toxins from within whatever we are taking in, whatever we are imbibing, from entering into the bloodstream. इन अदर वर्ड्स ये हमें रक्त विकार से बचाता है क्योंकि टॉक्सिन्स हमारी ब्लड में ना एंटर करें, उसके लिए एक ये अवरोधक की तरह है. इट्स अ बैरियर. But if the barrier is destroyed because there is less glutamine, we tend to get a leaky gut. Leaky gut means that the toxins now enter our bloodstream. And as a consequence, we suffer in totality, our physical as well as mental health. Why so? Because these enterocytes, they secrete certain chemicals, certain enzymes. These enzymes, these chemicals are the ones which are responsible for the absorption of nutrients from the food we take in, and at the same time also manage the water and the electrolytes within our body. They also absorb these and pass them on to the bloodstream, the nutrients, and the toxins are prevented from entering. That is, in other words, the good things enter, but the bad things do not. They just then pass out of the system, out of our system, and this is how we have a healthy body. The glutamine, therefore, is food to these enterocytes or a fuel to these enterocytes, and in turn it's converted into glutathione. Now, glutathione is a natural antioxidant. Natural. It frees our body of the free radicals. So what happens? We are prevented from so many illnesses. But when there is shortage of these two, it directly affects the cytokines. Cytokines are the ones which are the proteins controlling our immune system. In other words, they are the proteins which are immune signals. As soon as there is some disease, there is signaling from these cytokines. But when this is disturbed, that is the glutamine-glutathione balance is disturbed, then they in turn disturb the production of cytokines. There tends to be an overabundance of this signaling protein, the cytokines, which are responsible for our immunity. And when there is an overproduction, it's very harmful. Like it happened during the time of COVID. During the time of COVID, what happened? There was cytokine storm, CRP. CRP was tested in our blood. And when these CRP proteins, they are more, that is the storm, they tend to attack our very own organisms besides the pathogen because they are produced in abundance. As a result, it leads to organ failure. So the consequences are very fatal of cytokine storm. So in order to manage the cytokines, glutamine, glutathione, this cascade is responsible. And this whole thing manages not only our cytokines, this in turn manages our immune system, which in turn manages our nervous system. So it's all a big cascade or a connection, hence the gut-brain axis. So it's very important that we eat the right food. And why are we talking about it today, for that matter? Why? Because earlier on, our diet used to be the normal one. That is, glutamine is found, as far as vegetarian diet is concerned, in rice and wheat and all the milk products, in cabbage, in cucumber. And for the non-vegetarians, basically in the entire non-vegetarian diet. Entire non-vegetarian diet is very rich in glutamine. But of past few years, as the pace of life has increased, we are getting less and less time. So, and we are moving more and more to the processed food. Processed food, in other words, disturbs its entire cascade, that of glutamine, glutathione, cytokines. As a result, what happens is we tend to get a leaky gut, because if there is depletion, processed food, there are chemicals which lead to oxidative stress. More of glutamine is used up, less of it is produced, so demand is more, production is less. As a result, our gut suffers. When our gut suffers, what happens? Well, our mind also suffers, because there's a direct gut-brain connection. The entire electrochemical balance, the balance of the chemicals also in our brain, that is the neurochemicals, they are also disturbed. And hence, there is anxiety, depression, the leaky gut syndrome, digestive issues. तो इसीलिए इसकी बात करी जा रही है कि हमको क्या खाना चाहिए, which was unheard of earlier. We wouldn't have talked about it earlier, because earlier our diet used to be the normal diet, dal, chawal, sabzi, roti. It's now that more and more processed. Consequently, more processed food leading to more health issues. It's making our life comfortable, no doubt. But then the lifestyle is very, very harmful for our own body. तो इसीलिए क्या करें हम? Well, nothing to worry about. We don't have to just think much. It's only that we have to live and eat the normal diet. So move away from processed food, move on towards the normal healthy living, which may be a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian diet as per your preference. But yes, it should be one which is a natural form of diet, which we used to be consuming earlier. And earlier on, there were less of these illnesses, less of mental health issues, less of diseases, and so on. And of course, less consumption of medicines. So in a way, since this normal diet acting like a medicine, तो कहते हैं ना, अच्छे खाने में ही, हमारी रसोई में ही बसा है हमारी जो है हमारा संसार, हमारी दुनिया और हमारा हेल्दी जीवन. So move on to a healthy lifestyle, because it's rich in glutamine, which in turn produces glutathione, the natural antioxidant, which in turn regulates the cytokines. That is, there's a normal CRP. CRP is required. This cytokine is required. Cytokine regulating protein. They can, if there is overabundance, too much of it, then it not only attacks, because it cannot distinguish, it does not affect just the pathogens, it will attack the pathogens as well as our own organs, leading to organ failure as happened during the time of COVID. So, thank you.